Hello everyone, it is Caitlin, and today we are making an 1850s yoked cotton dress. Alright, here is the fabric we'll be working with today on this gown. I bought it about a year ago actually. I almost never make cotton dresses for the 1850s and 60s simply because I generally portray really high class in a really high class environment, so I'm usually wearing silk or wool, but given I live in a rural part of Texas, sometimes it's a good idea to have a cotton dress, and as of right now for 1850s, really I only have one, so it's probably a good idea to make another one just to have something else to wear. So this one, I was actually buying other fabric online, and I was only like 4 yards away from getting free shipping, and so I decided, you know what, I'll look through, see what else I find. This one caught my eye. Wasn't really sure why it caught my eye. But I've recently found an 1855 swatch book that has a very, very similar fabric in it. Just a little bit differently, so they had, I feel like it's a pretty close print. We're going to go ahead and work with it. I haven't quite decided what exactly I'm going to do with that bodice yet, but the skirt, it's a cotton skirt. There aren't a lot of variations you can do with that, so it's just going to be a simple, plain, gauged skirt, and I think we can go ahead and work on that. So I'm going to rip these panels. I think we're going to go for 3 widths of fabric instead of the usual 4, since I don't really plan on going over a hoop. I'm probably just going to wear it as a quarter petticoat. I might have enough fabric for 3.5 panels, but I think I need to go ahead and decide on this bodice and the sleeves before I make that final decision, because I don't want to be left with too little fabric for, sleeves or something. So I believe I have made a decision regarding the design. I think I'm going to go with a yoked bodice. So something we haven't quite done on the channel yet, and actually I've never done before, so this should be interesting. So I have here my bodice pattern. I cut in extra, and I'm going to cut out the yoke, or what part I want to be the yoke, which is basically a straight line, thinking right across here. Cool. I should probably label this. Leave that there. This just needs to be extended slightly. I don't know if I want to recut it or just like cut strips and tape them together. Let's try that. And you clearly see how precise all this is. But if you've been on the channel long, you know I don't do very many things very precisely. So I'm over here cutting out pieces, which is working pretty well. I've just had to keep in mind that this fabric there's definitely an up and a down. Usually I'm working with, plaids and such with the silks or solids, and I can cut things like upside down or however to fit them on the least amount of fabric possible. But this one, I'm having to keep in mind I want the paisleys going up. So that's been the only thing I've had to really keep in mind. Another thing I did do, I forgot to do on camera, the camera died for a second, so I was charging it while I was cutting out the front. I am going to put a waistband on this dress. Unfortunately, I do have an original dress with a waistband, so that was easy to go and measure. And that was 1.5 inches wide, so I'm just cutting off 1.5 inches from the bottom of the yoked pieces to accommodate that waistband. This whole thing is using a lot less fabric than I thought it was going to. I thought I was really going to have to use a lot of fabric for this yoked bodice, but it really hasn't, doesn't seem to be adding a whole lot of bulk. Alright, so we're cutting sleeves, which is the last step, and I'm actually going to get 4 full panels of skirt, which is awesome, and still have enough for piping, so I was a little concerned about that for a while. So we'll rip our last skirt panel. if I wanted an inch wide cuff turned around as 2 inches, with seam allowances is 3 inches. So a 3-inch wide piece, and I need 2 of them, and to go around my wrist with a little bit of overlap for a button, and not too terribly tight. So not too terribly tight is around 7¼ inches. 7 is pretty tight, so we'll do 7¼ with some overlap, 8, seam allowances 9. So we'll cut 9-inch strips. And we're going to see how much piping this makes. I kind of like to do a lot of piping with this. There are, with yoked bodices, you can pipe the part where the yoke meets the gathery bit, or you cannot pipe that. Of course, we are going to have to pipe the regular things like waistline, arm size, and neckline. I can pipe the top of the waistband, and I cannot. My original is not, but if I wanted to, I could. We're going to see how much piping we get, and then make the decision about how much piping we want. Alright, I don't know if y'all noticed before, but I forgot to cut a waistband. And I didn't feel like taking out the skirt facing and taking a little bit of the skirt to do so. So I pulled out of the trash all the scraps, and I have pieced myself a waistband. There are no fewer than 10 separate little pieces in this waistband, all comprising of pieces no larger than this, essentially. So like there's this piece that is, like this little section right here is pieced. This is a piece right here, there's a piece here, there's a little piece like right here. You can see on the back, there's like seams everywhere. But on the front, it's hard to tell. Like you can tell definitely here, because I wasn't able to match the pattern very well. But there's a seam here that I matched nearly perfectly. And actually, this part will be taken in under the seam allowance, so you will not be able to tell if there is a seam here. There's another seam here. Again, once there's a seam allowance there, you won't be able to really tell. Seam here, nearly matched perfectly. All these, I did really well matching this, and a pretty good job matching this line. The ones that go on the catty corner are always a little tricky, but that managed to be okay. Yeah, piecing is period. Alright, so because this is a yoked bodice, we're going to do things slightly differently than I would typically. So I went ahead and darted the lining. I'm going to put in some boning, and I just have some German plastic whalebone is what we're going to use today. It mimics baleen really well, and so anything that's going to be hidden, I will usually use the German plastic whalebone. Alright, so let's go ahead and put this yoked bodice together. So here's the back. And I just went ahead and put piping by hand because I find it easier if I just do a basting stitch right across, so that when I sew it together I can see exactly where the piping ends and I don't have to like guesstimate that. So I find that easier. So we're just going to put these things together. And I just ran a quick running stitch. And it really isn't supposed to be like terribly gathered, so just lightly. Just might add too much bulk. And that'll be the back. So I'm going to do the same thing for the fronts, both fronts actually. Alright, with the yokes sewed together, I pin them to the lining pieces. Sew all the pieces together at the shoulders and the side, and then probably gather this bottom pieces to put it to the waistband. The next step is we're going to put piping into the neckline. I'm also going to baste in piping at the arm side, kind of like I did with the yoke part. And I made enough piping, which is good. This is the last bit of piping I need. I already have the stuff for the waistband cut out. am working on gathering up this bottom piece so I can fit it to the waistband. Finding where my threads went to, because I had a couple, and there's, nope, that's not one. Yes, it is, okay. And pulling them to where it fits the lining. That's why I like to have darted lining, it makes my life easy. And pinning the lining and the waistband together. At this point, I'm going to run a quick seam by machine right along the piping edge, all the way around the waistband. Alright, let's work on some sleeves. So I have here the sleeves with the gathering stitch right on the top and the bottom. And make sure the gathers are evenly spaced. And then we can pin this in. Alright, I put in one sleeve, we're going to put in the other. So I'm going to get all these skirt lifter bits away. So I have these sleeve caps sewn, well not sewn, pinned to the sleeve, and I'm just going to pin this into the armscye now. And I already put in hooks and eyes on the bodice, and I put in a button and buttonhole in the sleeves. So after this bit, we are done with the bodice. So it's about time to start sewing the skirt panels together. The only thing I have to keep in mind is that I need to make sure these paisleys are facing up on all the skirt panels. And they're all just giant rectangles, so it doesn't really matter, except for this one because I am going to put the front opening here. So I do need to make sure I do this on the top, not the bottom. And make a 10-inch pocket here. So basically, I'm going to sew from the bottom up until this point. Alright, so I have sewn the whole skirt together. I have put in a pocket, and I am currently working on putting the facing in. I use the same brown cotton for the pockets, so they'll match, although that's not necessarily necessary that they match. But on my original that has a skirt, I will say the pocket and the facing are the same fabric, and then the dress is lined with a different brown fabric. So, you know, take that for what you will. Not all dresses are like that. I've seen ones that aren't, but it is a period appropriate thing. And I had just enough of this brown fabric to make a pocket and a facing. So there's no more of this fabric left. We're going to use another brown fabric to line this gown with. But I'm going to go with this all the way around and then sew it together. So over here we're going to put skirt lifters into each of these side seams. This is not something you see on all or even most original dresses, but you do occasionally see it. And on all of my dresses I put skirt lifters. But that's a personal choice. And I'll just sew those in. Alright, gauging. So to start off with gauging, you're going to need to balance your skirts. With the sleeves sewn in, I am currently working on gauging this skirt to the bodice. How to gauge a skirt is going to be one of our how-to videos. I don't know if that's aired yet or not, but there's our little gauging. It's actually set to the skirt exactly how one of my originals is. I have an original that's set to a waistband. It's not a yoked bodice, but it's set to a waistband like this, and the skirt is gauged directly to the bottom of the waistband, which is exactly what we're doing right now. Very last step for this project, we are sewing in collar and cuffs. So here's the collar. So the dress is now done. Also made a handkerchief that can fit into the pocket. So I guess we can go ahead and try this on and see how it fits. And here it is, all done. Yeah. So it's really cute. I really do like the yoke bodice style. I think I could have moved more of these gathers more towards where they would normally be, instead of kind of distributing them out equally. I think it would have been better if they were kind of more centralized here. But other than that, it looks really good. The back looks really good. I think that's the perfect amount of gathering all the way back there. But I think this could have been a little bit more full. So I think next time I'll cut this maybe with a couple extra inches to make it like extra full, like all in here. But I think it's really adorable. This is my favorite type of bishop sleeve, which is where they're very tight on the sleeve, but then they're fuller at the bottom. It's my favorite kind. So that worked really well. It's kind of nice to have something different in the wardrobe. So I've never done a yoked bodice before, so this is something that's very different, that I think looks great. I absolutely love this fabric. The paisleys are adorable, and it's a good length on me. I know y'all can't see from where y'all are, but it's a good length on me. I'm thinking I might actually be able to wear this with a hoop too if I chose to, which I probably won't. But it's kind of like right on that cusp of, it's just perfect where it is right now, but if I wore a smaller hoop, it would work as well. But, yeah. Here's the inside, there's the facing, and my skirt lifters. And somewhere there's a pocket in here. Right here. Pocket's a little further back than normal because I have the center front seam. So usually like these two seams, I have a seam front, back, and on either side. Normally this would be offset, so these two seams, instead of being right here and right here, would be here and here. And so like that's more natural. So this isn't terribly uncomfortable to fit my hand all the way in there. It's a nice wide pocket. I don't know, fit a handkerchief, whatever else I need to fit in there. Yeah, so overall, very, very successful project. I'm getting a little tired of working in cotton. I'm looking forward to going back to my silks and my wools. This is just not normal for me, but it is a part of the wardrobe that I was missing. I did need some stuff that was a little lower class. That way I could do more events, because there are plenty of things to do that I don't always need to be Nettie. I can do something else. I can be somebody else. I'm not married to that. So it's always good to have other things in the wardrobe. That way I can use them. And I have a wider range of events available to me. So this makes two 1850s dresses, early 1860s dresses that are more working class. So that is excellent. And I can always pull one of my silk dresses as a nice Sunday dress if I needed to, if it was like a weekend event or something, and I was doing something slightly lower class. But I think this is good enough. Two nice cotton dresses is a good, decent amount of lower class clothing. And it's a very nice dress. Like, it's not necessarily like super lower class, it's just not what I usually do. So it's been fun. But yes, I'm very much looking forward to getting back to working with silks now. I know y'all are seeing this in like April. I'm actually making this several months earlier. So I've done like 3 cotton projects like right in a row. So yeah, I am ready to get back to working in silk. So maybe next project, we'll see. But yeah, so overall, very successful. I am wearing 4 petticoats with this, by the way. I don't know. So overall, yeah, very successful. I actually am wearing 4 petticoats with this. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. So it's like an under petticoat, and then my quarter petticoat, and then 2 petticoats over top. And that's probably what I would be wearing if I were to wear this dress. I guess I could take the quarter petticoat out, but I was like really just working. I didn't necessarily need that skirt support. And that would probably take a little bit of this weight off too. But the fullness for like a fashion dress is pretty decent. So yeah, that's cool. But yeah, so thank you so much for, but yeah, so very glad we got this done. It's something else that was in the closet that needed to go away, and I got that fabric out, which is wonderful. So thank you so much for joining me on this adventure, and I will see you in the next video.